the AllBrands show. I'm Barbara. Oh my gosh, can you believe it's December already? It's time to get into the real spirit of the holidays, and we have a fantastic, wonderful, glorious angel on our show today, Miss Martha Pullen. She is amazing, and she has some great stories to share with us. Let us know where you're watching from. What are you working on for the holidays? Are you stressed? Are you relaxed? Oh my gosh, there's just so much to think about. Oh my gosh, look, hi, Debbie from Georgia. Your puppy is so cute. And from Virginia. Isn't it amazing how we can all get together no matter what part of the world we're in? And Miss Maureen from Illinois, it's so good to see you. And also Shirley from Illinois. Oh my gosh, hi Deborah. Hi Paula from Tampa, Florida. So at the end of this broadcast, like always, we'll be doing a drawing for our $50 AllBrands.com e-gift card. So be sure to comment, hashtag AllBrands, and you'll be eligible to win. Good luck. All right. Well, without further ado, I think that we should bring in our lovely, lovely guest, Miss Martha Pullen. And I see that she may be there, but the screen is black. Can you pull up the screen, Martha? I'll bring her in. We'll see if we can hear her. Hey, Martha, are you there? Let's see here. Oh, goodness. I wonder if she got a phone call. Well, some good things you just have to wait for. So we'll see what's going on with Martha in a minute. Oh, look here. We have Christine from Southern Arizona. Debbie. Debbie says, I've been making applique tees for a 3T in my fast frames from AllBrands. Thank you for shopping with us. Oh, wow. My goodness. That's wonderful. All right, so let's see if we can bring in Martha. I see her here, but she's not all the way here. So Martha, if you can hear me, if you could go back to your chat message and click the link again, hopefully it'll bring up the screen and you can join us. My goodness. Hi, Kelly Smith, it's good to see you too. Wow, Betty, nice to see you. And Joanne Banco, hi, Joanne. We love you so much. We'd love to have you on the show as well, Joanne. Let's see. Diane from Australia, thank you so much for watching. Guys, so I do have a special that we got just for this event with Martha, and hopefully we can get her back on the line. So I'll show you that on the screen. Let's see, here it is. It is 60 months, 0% financing on Bernina machines, 3,000 and up, and it's just for the next 3 days, starting today.
Okay, so, I hear you.
Martha, hey, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay, I'm going to try to fix that. Hang on just 1 minute.
So she popped out. She's going to come back in. Oh my gosh. What? So I have to tell you guys, I wanted to lift everyone's spirit and tell you something that is special to me for the holidays. So this company is here because of an amazing woman. Her name is Annette Douthit, and she had a really great outlook on Christmas. And it wasn't about the things, although she did make us some beautiful gifts for Christmas. But she always said that she wanted presents and not presents. So this week we put up a picture of her to honor her legacy in our home office and we sent out this quote to all of our employees. I don't want a present with a T. I want your presents. So I hope that through being crafty or through making connections with people, that you can be present with people this holiday season. So that's just my little tidbit. So I see Martha. I see Martha. Hear Martha. but I don't see her. Here we go. Let's try this again. And thanks everybody for your patience.
I know.
Hi.
I don't know what happened. Should I touch anything here?
How about, why don't you reboot your device and then like turn it off and turn it back on, and then click the link in the chat.
Okay.
And we can't wait to see you. All right, let's go back to the comments. I see they're rolling in. Oh, Miss Maureen, it's so true. Yes, it's not about stuff. Making stuff is probably one of the best things that you can do, though, for someone. And I was thinking, Maureen, a lot of times people want to buy something because it's plastic or pristine for a Christmas present, but because people may be self-conscious to give something that they made to another person, but it's so meaningful for that person. And I think that when you do make something and put the effort forth, then you can give that gift to someone, but you have to do it confidently. so that person receiving can get the full benefit of you not like apologizing for it not being perfect or this or that, so that it's special for all the people. All right, Martha, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
But you can't see me.
Oh, goodness.
I don't know what to do.
Oh, well, I think we can just have a podcast today. How about that?
Okay. Well, should I go ahead and go out of this particular series and then try to come back in once again fresh?
I think so. We can
All right, let me try. Go ahead and talk. Let me try it. Okay, huh?
All right. Let's go back to the comments. Amen. I love her already. Yes, she's very loved. She's the reason why we're all here today. Let's see. Let's see who else. It's good to see everyone today, says Joanne. All right. Here's Kelly. Kelly, I love it. So Martha has never known to be this bashful, LOL. I love it. All right. Let's see. Hi, Joanne. I was glad to see you. Oh, Marianne at the Quilt Festival. Let us know. Did you attend the Quilt Festival this year? Look who's here. And we could see her.
Okay. Can you hear
me? Yes, we can.
Well, praise the Lord is all I've got to say. Right in the middle of a television show, everything goes haywire. All right, you can see and hear me, right?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I love you. I love you. Merry Christmas, and Barbara, I love you. And thank you for having me on today. I've really been looking forward to this. I'm sorry about the mess up, but guess what? All's well that ends well.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. Oh my goodness. So we have some fun stories to talk about today about making items for Christmas and some Christmas stories.
Well, let me tell you what, making Christmas presents is the most valued gift that you can give. Now, don't give a handmade gift to anybody who doesn't appreciate it, but there's nothing in the world, nothing that I love as much as a handmade gift. Barbara, let me tell you a little secret. A number of years ago, now I have an unnatural attraction to handmade Christmas ornaments. I love them. I have hundreds of them. Now, where did I get them? A number of years ago, my fan club, and I did have a fan club. I think I still do have. They asked me what I'd like for Christmas, and I said handmade Christmas ornaments. So they decided, I think there were 85 of them that got together, and they did kind of a round robin. Each one of them sent me a handmade ornament, and I had some beautiful ornaments made that said Martha Pullen Fan Club and had the year, and because I couldn't make 80 handmade ornaments, but they all sent me a handmade ornament, and I sent them a store-bought one, but it was very sentimental, and they loved it. And for several years, for a number of years, they did that. And they would take 5 names and send those 5 people a handmade ornament. And then they all sent me one. And I'm telling you, Barbara, those are the most treasured. Every time I would open one, I would be practically in tears. And let me tell you what, Joe loved them as much as I did. And I have a huge Christmas tree with nothing. My main Christmas tree has nothing but those precious handmade ornaments that my fan club sent to me. And then I have enough of them left over for my second Christmas tree back in my family room, which has handmade family ornaments in it. And then I have even three of my grown children. Absolutely love them more than anything. And Sherry Ann, Mark's wife, she has her Christmas tree at her Gunnersville home with nothing but handmade ornaments. And I have given her a few of them. I have literally probably 1,000 or more. I have given her a few every year because, and then Joanna loves these handmade ornaments. Now, my children that aren't too wild about handmade ornaments, I don't send, I buy them beautiful ornaments. Believe me, I don't leave them out. But I'm not sending these handmade because they're crocheted, they're smock, they're painted, they're paper craft, they're quilted. There's some of, I often said that if I ever had to go to a nursing home, I would have to choose just a few things to take with me. My handmade Christmas ornaments that my fan club made for me would certainly be in a big box to go with me. Now, I hope I don't ever have to go to a nursing home, but if I have to go somewhere and I only can take just a few things with me, then it will be those handmade Christmas. So please do make Christmas gifts. They will be treasured. Anyone who loves handmade, again, those that don't love handmade, go to the store and buy them something wonderful. Don't give them handmade. Are you with me on that, Barbara?
Oh, yes. We
And
have
then
a
another one Christmas, Barbara, I was so poor. Y'all, I went through some really, you think, I think most of you know at one time when I was a single mother, I was divorced with two little children. I lived in $61 a month student housing. I think some of you, however, now, Barbara, I was very skinny during those days. So prosperity has not been good for me in some ways. But anyway, one year when I was married and the boys were little, I was a housewife and full-time mother, and the babies were little, two little babies. No money. I'm talking no money. Absolutely no extra money. So I saved all the newspapers. You know, back then we used to have colored comics, you know, beautiful, and the Sunday paper, several pages. So for months, I saved all those comic papers out of the Atlanta Journal Constitution. And I saved those. I knew that was going to be my wrapping paper because I couldn't afford to buy wrapping paper. And then I had just a little money. And it's just so wonderful. Thank you, honey, telling me you love my stories. God bless you, baby. I love you too. But anyway, okay, so I had almost no money, but my mother always made these wonderful things, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But I wanted to make my mother something so special. I had my little $150 singer, my little touch and sew. And anyway, so I went to the fabric store. Didn't have much money now, but there was some beautiful turquoise corduroy, and I got a pattern, probably a McCall's pattern, because I couldn't afford Vogue, and for a house coat. And Barbara, I just bought just barely enough of that beautiful turquoise corduroy to make this house coat. But then I went over to look for buttons. And Barbara, I've always had an unnatural attraction to beautiful buttons. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I love buttons. Well, I love fabrics. And I found these beautiful buttons. Oh, Barbara, they were very expensive, so expensive. And I thought, can I afford those buttons? And I thought, well, if I just put four buttons on it rather than all the way down the front, I thought I'll just put four buttons. So I bought four of those beautiful buttons, and then I made her that house coat. You know, Barbara, I think she wore that until she died. That was her special house coat. Anyway, she probably didn't wear it a whole lot. She didn't, but anyway, let me tell you what I made for everybody else. Because after I bought that material for her house coat, I had no money much left. So for all the other family members, I made them a green corduroy table runner. Now, not too long. Remember, I couldn't buy much material, but it was a green corduroy. And Barbara, a long time ago, and I'm sure they're still there, we didn't have any machine embroidery, for goodness sakes. And applique was a little bit hard to do, especially on my little Singer, which wasn't a real fancy machine. So I bought I remember they were red, some felt cutouts. They had a package or two of felt cutouts that had Santa Claus and Christmas balls and reindeer and trees, fir trees. And I remember they had some beautiful red felt cutouts. So I bought some of those, and I'm pretty sure I glued them on. That was the easy way. So I had a beautiful table runner with all these beautiful red figures for everybody else. Then what did I do for the men? I sure didn't know anything to make for the men. Besides that, I was out of money for fabric. So I went over to the craft section of this fabric store, and I found some round styrofoam, not too big because that would have been too expensive, so, right? Too big, and they had a center. The center was, it was a wreath, and they had the center cut out. Deborah, thank you, darling, for missing my show. I missed my show too, but you got to remember, I've got 49 new videos up on my uh, retreat on my website. You'll have to go look at those. But anyway, okay, Barbara, back to the story. I thought I've got some pine cones in my yard, and I thought I'll just get some glue, and I'll get this styrofoam wreath, and I'll glue those pine cones on, and then later on they can purchase the candle to go in the middle. Would have taken a big fat candle. I didn't have any money to buy a candle, but I knew they would know what it was for. So the men all got those pine cones, which I got out of my front yard and my backyard, glued onto that styrofoam. I think I took some tempera paints and painted it brown. I don't think I left it white. And it was quite pretty. And that was my Christmas that year. Now, Mother bought most of the boys' things. So we always were at Christmas at Mother's house. So I didn't really have to buy anything for my boys because Mother always did all of that. But that was one of the best Christmases I ever had in my life because I sat there and listened to Christmas music on the radio and the television while I sewed and sewed and sewed and sewed those presents. And everybody, you know what? They all saved their table runners. They used them for years and years and years. They were so treasured. And that's what I'm trying to say. A handmade gift, nothing is as special as a handmade gift for people who love handmade.
I have to say, Martha, that is so true. And that's what brings me back to this thing that my mother
That
said
your mother said,
all
yes.
the time. She wants presents, not a present with a T.
And you know what? That's true. And your mother was so precious, Barbara. Your mother and father started supporting my business. I was trying to think today with you. I did first Bernina University would have been 1983 because my first book with Bernina in it. And by the way, thank you, Bernina, for underwriting my new show and my new business. And I'm thrilled to be back. Bernina was my first company, and now I'm so thrilled. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, all of the executives, Mr.
Okay, it looks like she'll be back in just a minute. Maybe she's getting a phone call from someone.
Can you see yourself? Okay,
yeah. Did you get a call?
No, yeah, but I didn't answer it, and it's on silent. So I don't know what happened. At least it did. Anyway, thank you to all the Bernina people. I've been with Bernina a long, long time. Bernina was my first company. It was the first sewing machine I carried, and in my first book, I had pictures of Bernina. I'll tell you what, Barbara, on the back of the book, I had a picture. It was of the Bernina. I think it was the 930 then. And I had a picture of the 930 and said, when Santa Claus asks you what you want for Christmas, you just whisper Bernina, 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 Bernina in his ears. And maybe you'll be lucky enough to get a Bernina. And I taught, anyway, my Bernina was featured all through my first book. And the Bernina dealers, that's where I first met your mom and dad, was at that Bernina University. And they said, oh, Martha, you've got to come to Louisiana to teach. And I said, nobody knew who I was. Until I wrote that first book, nobody knew who I was. And here they were. They just looked at the first book and invited me to come teach and really helped me on my road to success. And they always were there to support me. And I loved your mother and I loved your daddy. And of course, that was long before you were born. Well, maybe y'all were little. I don't remember. But anyway, trying to fix that a little better. But the Douthits have been dear, dear, dear friends of mine the whole time I've been in business. And here I am with you. Anyway.
I have an idea. I'd like if you have a fun story for the folks that are watching, let us know in the comments if you have a special Christmas story about making a gift for someone that was special.
Oh, yes.
And I'll hold them until the end.
Now, then I want to tell you about the ultimate gift. What time do we have? Are we good? Okay.
We have all the time.
We can go to 4:30, can't we?
Yes, yes.
Well, okay. You know, my story's a little long-winded, Barbara. You've known me a long time. And I had such a good time coming to Louisiana to teach with you and your dad a few weeks ago. We had such a good time, and so many people came out to say hello, and I love you, and I love you. I love all of you. Let me just give you my Christmas love, and and how blessed I am to have all of you for friends. Good gracious, you've taken care of me since 1981 in the sewing industry, and I love all of you, and I thank you. Okay, do you want me to tell you about the best Christmas present I ever got? By
Oh,
the way,
yeah.
look at this nice Christmassy looking day outside. It's kind of gray, and it's not cold, but it just looks like Christmas outside. Anyway, that's my backyard. Anyway, best Christmas present I ever got in my life. I'll have to tell you. When I was 8 years old, on Christmas morning, I had asked for a Toni doll. A Toni doll was just the thing. That was kind of like the American Girl doll is today. Oh, Toni doll, Toni doll, Toni doll. And they were kind of expensive. And I had asked Santa Claus to bring me a Toni doll. And, I didn't know what Santa Claus would bring, but oh, I wanted that Toni doll so badly. And so guess what? When I got up Christmas morning and opened the door to go into the living room, our Christmas tree was always in the living room, and we opened gifts on Christmas Eve. So all the gifts had been opened, but you see, Santa Claus was still to come. So I went in that morning, opened the door to walk in, just hoping I would see a Toni doll in there. And guess what? Here she was. Toni was in there. Now her head's kind of wobbly, so it may flop over, not look too hot, but Toni was in there, my Toni doll. Now she did not have on this dress. This is a wedding dress that my mother had made. Toni had on, I'll show you, Toni, and Barbara, you've got a picture of it. Toni had on this dress right here. Barbara, you've got a picture of it to show them a little close. That was her little store-bought dress that she came in. Now, people, listen, back during those days, if there were no places to buy doll clothes. I mean, if somebody didn't make you some doll clothes, you didn't have any doll clothes. So let me scoot over here. Oh, there we go, a little bit. So when I looked at Toni, oh, she was so beautiful. But then all of a sudden, I began looking all over the living room, now remember, my little sister hadn't been born yet. That was just me. I began to look all over the living room and all over the furniture. On this piece of furniture, that piece of furniture, the piano bench, in front of the fireplace, in all the chairs, there were doll clothes. Oh my goodness, all kinds of doll clothes everywhere. Now remember, you couldn't purchase doll clothes. Your doll came with one dress, and that was what you had. Nobody had doll clothes back in Scottsboro, Alabama. And I looked around, and there was a whole wardrobe. I'm going to show you some of them right now. I was just squealing. I went running from place to place, picking up this one, picking up that one, picking up the other one. And I'm telling you, my mother, who was a school teacher, had stayed up at night after I went to bed. And I think it was a McCall's pattern that she had. She had made these fabulous clothes for my Toni doll. The whole living room was filled with doll clothes. I have never in my life. And by the way, I've had some fabulous presents given to me. A new car. Joe gave me so many presents. A beautiful new watch, jewelry. Nothing in the world ever, ever, ever will touch the joy of being my favorite Christmas present, like those doll clothes. Toni, and I'm going to show you what I have left of her. Remember, this is 71 years ago. Thank goodness Mama took care of them, put them up in the attic. I don't have all of them, but you're going to get the idea of how special it was. Now, Toni had, she came in a case. Now, that was very unusual. Here's her case. Oh, it had stickers on it and opened up so Toni could live in the case. But she had so many clothes, it was almost impossible. But that's my case. And these little hangers came with the case, not with Toni, because remember, doll clothes you couldn't buy. Doll clothes were not purchased, so there were no hangers. But the case had these little hangers in it. I still have two of the little hangers. Matter of fact, I have several of them. So I'll hang little hangers back on the little case, little place where, and you can pull. Oh me, I just dropped one of them. That's okay. Now let me just show you. All right, first of all, I'll show you her wedding dress. Now, did any of you love bride dolls when you were little? Oh my goodness, I just love bride dolls better than anything. Let me just say, I bet your mom cried her eyes out when she saw how much, oh, my mother was elated, but my mother knew how much they were going to mean to me. See, I was a doll person. I still love dolls. I still buy dolls for me. All right, now look in her little wedding veil. Let me lean her down. Her little head probably flop over, but she had a little band, and she has a little ruffle up here. And then her wedding dress had this big, beautiful ruffle. Let me hold her up a little bit here. Barbara, I think you've got a picture of her wedding dress. Why don't we just show them the picture?
Oh, okay.
Barbara, show
Yeah.
if you If you can find it, I'm not giving you
Let's
in the correct
see.
order, am I? But
What
last
oh,
night,
is
did I
this
snap
it?
a picture? No, you know what, Barbara? I didn't snap a picture of the wedding dress.
Oh,
So we'll just have
okay.
to, I forgot to because the wedding dress is on. Tony, look how beautiful her dress is. It's a circular skirt, by the way. The pattern was that way. It has this wonderful ruffle. It's satin, and she did the most wonderful little tiny bias bindings around the neck on this tiny 15-inch doll, and put plackets in the back. And the little veil hung down all the way to the back of her dress. And actually, you could bring the veil over if you wanted to pretend like it was. You could bring the veil over her face and poor little Tony's head. I need to get Toni to the doll hospital. Her head has some problems. After all, she's 7. And listen, I played with this doll. Oh my goodness, I played with her. She held up pretty well, actually. Now let me just show you some of the other clothes that Toni had that morning. Okay, the coat. Oh my gosh. My mother was a superior seamstress. Now I'm going to show you this little coat. Remember, this is a 15-inch doll coat. It is wool. It is completely lined. It is a reversible coat. You can reverse it. I'll show you a close-up picture to where it's green wool. Y'all, this is wool fabric. And look at the little belt in the back. And the little belt in the back is lined in the same green. Y'all, this is a masterpiece. Now, Barbara, you want to show them the pictures of it? We've got a close-up picture of this coat. All right. Do you see the little button there? That the green collar, because it's lined in green. And then that little button, by the way, handmade button loop, of course. Mother always did handmade, and little pearl button. And then you see the back of that coat. See how beautiful that little belt. And the little belt, as I showed you, is lined in green, of course. And then look at the inside of that coat. And can you see the little pocket? A tiny little pocket, about 1 inch by 1 inch pocket that's in a V shape. It isn't just in a square shape, it's in a V shape. And of course, it's a real pocket. And this coat is a masterpiece, I'm telling you. And that was one of the things that my mother had. Now, let me show you something else. You're going to love this. Now, all right, now let me show you. All right, now I don't have all the pieces, so I'm just going to have to show you what I have. This was a swimsuit. Now, you talk about a doll not having any swimsuit. Dolls didn't have clothes, but they certainly didn't have. Okay, let me pull this. Here we go now. But this is the little bottom of her swimsuit. It was a 2-piece swimsuit, kind of a bikini, not really a bikini. And then here's the little beach bag, a beach bag that was a drawstring that mother, she'd made a beach bag. And I think she may have even had a beach hat, but the little swimsuit, oh my goodness. And there we are. And it's kind of worn out, but it's just precious. It still closes the little beach bag. And again, there was a swimsuit.
We
What,
have
honey?
we have someone that says, your mom was a great seamstress, but then someone said, this must have been an inspiration for you.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, listen. I loved my mother. My mother made me the most gorgeous things. And what I did, I loved it when my mother sewed for me. Oh my goodness, she made me beautiful. It's not just doll clothes, but clothes. And by Aunt Chris, I have 2 sewing inspirations. My mother was a master seamstress and did everything right. I mean, you should see the stitching on this little coat. Hand done, everything was, I mean, who can make a lined wool coat for a 15-inch doll? Perfection. Anyway, but mother was a perfectionist, and she got the most beautiful of fabrics and the most beautiful. I tried. Listen, I tried to find a copy of that pattern online for antique pattern. She's talking about the antique, but Toni, you'll see the patterns for Toni doll. But anyway, mother was a perfection seamstress, and now my Aunt Chris, my other inspiration, was my Aunt Chris, and she was a home ec teacher, and she loved to make Christmas stockings and sequins, and she put beautiful things. Now, Aunt Chris was not as much of a perfectionist. She made gorgeous things, and she made them fancy. Y'all, I've always loved fancy. I still love fancy. Anyway, my Aunt Chris helped me make my first Christmas stocking. I started sewing at age 4 with Aunt Chris. And she had a felt stocking cut out, and she cut out all these little figures, the little lamb and the little different things for Christmas. And it's kind of interesting. And I got to sew them on with my little fingers, sew them on by hand. And it was not very good, but she said, oh, Martha, that's the most beautiful stocking I ever saw in my life. And I thought it was too. And she said, Martha, I believe you can make doll clothes. I said, well, of course I can. Never sat down on a machine in my life. Here comes my little cat. I'll let him jump across. That's 12 saying hello to you. That's Mr. 12. Most of you know about him. Anyway, so she said, well, let's just make doll clothes. Well, I had these small dolls. I don't remember what they were called. They were no name. But she said, get one of those dolls. And I did. And she said, now here's the easy way to make a doll dress. Remember, I'm just 4, maybe 5. So we cut a square. She showed me how big to cut the square. The square. And then we, right in the middle of the square, we cut a hole big enough for the doll's head. And she said, now you just look, this will be a doll dress in just a minute. I said, okay, this doll. So we slipped the square on over the doll's head, and she had a ribbon, and we tied the ribbon around the doll's waist. I'm sure, oh, whether I could even tie back then or not. Excuse me, please. Anyway, I put that, she had a beautiful fabric now. Probably had some kind of satin or something, because I love that kind of, I love that kind of fabric. So I put that doll, that square on that doll's head, tied a ribbon around its waist, and honey, I was making doll clothes. And I mean, I was just sure. Maybe Jenny dolls, that's Janet Jordan. They could have been Jenny dolls, because I know Jenny dolls were available back then. Of course, I love all dolls. Now, we couldn't afford Madame and Sanders. They were available too, but that was not anything that school teachers in Alabama could afford. But Jenny dolls, I bet you, Janet, it was a Jenny doll. And I put that over her head and tied, and I made dress after dress with that very pattern, square with a hole cut in it, pulled down over the head with a fancy ribbon around the waist. And that I had started my love of sewing, my lifelong love. I still have chills on my up and down my spine when I think about Aunt Chris with a love of sewing and that Christmas stocking. And she let me sew sequins on, and y'all, you should have seen them. I wish I still had that stocking. I don't. But Mother thought it was so precious that she used that for my Christmas stocking all of my life. And as I got older, I really appreciated it even more. But anyway, Aunt Chris taught me the joy of sewing. I mean, the hard down fun of sewing. And oh, this is just beautiful. Now, y'all, my technique was not too hot with Aunt Chris. She didn't care. She wanted me to know the joy of sewing. And that's one of the things that I really emphasize with anybody that's just starting. Don't worry about what it looks like on the inside. It's not going to a museum. Enjoy it and just make it fun and the joy. And then Mother would take me. Now, talk about Mother. She made gorgeous things. And I mean, she was a school teacher, and Daddy was a salesman, so we didn't have a whole lot of money. But she was determined I would have the prettiest clothes in Scottsboro. I'm not kidding you. And we couldn't afford to buy a whole lot. And we'd go to the Mill Ends fabric store. That was a good, by the way, a good fabric store. We'd buy a good pattern. Now, if it were play clothes, Mother got McCall's or Simplicity or Buttery. But for my Sunday school clothes, she would splurge on a Vogue pattern. And that was a big deal when we splurged on a Vogue pattern. Anyway, so she made fabulous clothes. She did hand pricked zippers, and everything was lined, and everything was, the zipper, the buttons were, well, she made them on a machine. She didn't make hand done. Oh, yes, she did make some bound buttonholes too. On some of my wool clothes, she made bound buttonholes. And Mother would show me how to sew, but she didn't let me help her with my fabulous clothes she made without any of my help. But I loved it so much. And then she would help me on the play clothes. She would let me help some and show me the right way of doing it. Let me tell you how Mother used to cut things out. Now, Mother was a school teacher, so she had to leave for work at 7:15 every morning. Never got home till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Had to cook supper. We all cleaned the dishes together. And then she sewed at night. Anyway, Daddy was a traveling salesman, by the way. Daddy left on Monday morning. He got home Friday night. So she didn't really have to do too much taking care of a husband, except on the weekends. So it was just all about me. Anyway, she would show me and let me help her a little bit with my play clothes. She did not let me help with my better clothes until I got in high school. But I saw the joy. And by the way, anytime I wore some of those clothes to church, everybody's, oh, let me see what Martha's got. Oh, let me see what Martha's got. Oh, Anna Ruth, did you make that? Well, I was so proud to tell them, yes, my mama made it. Because they were the prettiest clothes in Scottsboro at the church, First Methodist Church in Scottsboro, Alabama. Anyway, let me go back to my doll clothes. That's where I got the joy of sewing, and also the love of doing it right. Mother was a perfectionist, and I mean, she was a mathematician. She had majored in math, and so you can just imagine her first degree was in math. Now let's go back to the doll clothes that Mother made. These are made right. All right, now looky here. We have not only the wedding dress. Oh, we've got a little hang, but we have the bridesmaid's dress, and it's that circle. It's that same pattern with the circular skirt. See how pretty? That's just a circle skirt, and this was the bridesmaid's pet dress, and there are three little rhinestones. Barbara, did I make a picture of this with a close up picture?
I don't see a picture of that pink one.
Your foot. I tell you, I don't know why.
This one?
Yeah, no, that's another one. Well, I'll show you. This is another evening dress. I love evening clothes. I've always loved evening dresses. I love fancy clothes to this day. I love sequins to this day. All the jewelry I love to wear. This is another evening dress that she made. Now this is the same circle pattern. So I think they were all from the same pattern. It's a circular skirt, and this one now has netting, the same color over it, with a ruffle in the netting, and then there's a ruffle on the skirt. Oh gosh, I just love these so much. And the tiniest little binding. Look at the little puff sleeve, the teensy little binding. How on earth she did those, I'll never know. And then there was a ruffle of netting around the collar. And here's another little hanger. So she must have found that little hanger somewhere. That's a little wire hanger. So I have plastic hangers and wire hangers. Now, I think that this little gizmo, I've never quite known in my adult, I think that might have been to have wrapped around this dress, or you know what? I think it fit better. Wait, let's decide. I think she must have made this to go around the little bridesmaid's dress. Okay, I think that's our system there. Because this would have been the bridesmaid's dress for the wedding. And therefore the bridesmaids had a little kind of a little apron. See, can you see that? I think that went over the bridesmaid's dress because it was just a little lace apron that had a binding, a little set. Yeah, that was probably an apron. You know what? No, it wouldn't have gone in the bride's dress because she had a ruffle around her waist. But you see the detail that my mother went to. And then there's some little rhinestones. Now, y'all, it was not easy. You couldn't just get rhinestones and iron them down back then. You had to sew them on. So she went to all the trouble to do all of that. Now, we're not through yet. Okay, then we had little play clothes, little play dresses. Barbara, I think I did have a picture of that. Yeah, the little play dress. Now, this is just a tiny little yellow and white print. But look at the details. Y'all, those are the little bias cuffs. Oh, my gosh, tiny little cuffs. And then the neckline is just folded back, I think. Oh, no, it's got a bias binding around the neckline, too. It's the darndest thing. And this, by the way, the laces are all French because I don't know whether, I'm not sure Mother knew a whole lot about French lace back then. I certainly didn't until I started buying clothes to make Joanna French dresses. I didn't know the difference between 10 yards for $1 at the mill-end store and the French laces, but I quickly learned. Oh my goodness. And the laces she put on these clothes were French laces. So, and I didn't even know they had French lace in Scottsboro at the mill-end store. So don't ask. Mother must have gone to Burger Phillips in Birmingham. Oh, and your grandchildren would love these. Let me tell you something. If you want to make the gift that they will have, remember, I'm 79 years old. This was a gift from me when 71 years ago, when I was 8 years old. And it's the greatest treasure I have. It's the greatest gift I was ever given. And if you want to make something, now assuming your grandchildren love doll clothes. Now, all little girls, all little girls don't love dolls. I still love dolls. I still buy dolls for me. Remember all the dolls we brought in at Martha Pullen Company that we sold thousands of? Now let's go back. This one is
we had someone, Martha, who's commented earlier that they had a Martha Pullen doll.
Oh, listen, we brought them. Weren't they beautiful? Now they're made by the same company, that American Girl, the Goetz Company, Goetz, and I imported them directly from Germany. And guess what? The factory closed, and they still make an American Girl, and they may even call them Goetz, but they're made in China now, and they're still beautiful. The American Girl dolls are still beautiful. But the ones, if you bought one of the ones from me, the Martha Pullen dolls, and they had all these wonderful names: red hair, brown hair, blonde hair. But anyway,
Marianne Dottie.
Marianne, I have a Martha Pullen doll that I purchased many years ago. I changed her dresses several times. Marianne, I just love it. And you make some dresses just for you and your doll. Oh, so many people. Listen, and the porcelain dolls too. That's a big business. Oh, Betty loves her Martha Pullen dolls. I think Betty has one of every one of Martha Pullen dolls. Betty's one of my close friends here in Huntsville that works with Gloria McKinnon when she comes in too. And Betty was one of my main people in helping me get my retreat. I think some of you know about my Rockstar. So by the way, do you know what my name is now? Because I could not trademark Martha Campbell Pullen because it was too close. And I sold Martha Pullen to Phyllis Hoffman years ago. So my lawyer said, well, Ms. Pullen, think of another name. I thought, well, and I thought, you know what? I'm 79. That's getting on up in years, except I've never been so happy in my life. And I've never been so excited about a new business in my life. But it needs to be kind of fun, doesn't it? So guess what? I'm now, and this is my trademark legal name, Rockstar Sewing with Martha Campbell Pullen, PhD, because I couldn't trademark Martha Campbell Pullen. It was too close to my. So I am now Rockstar Sewing with Martha Campbell Pullen, PhD. And I have to use that too. That's my full name. But anyway, go to rockstarsewing.com. I've got a lot of, there you go. Go to Rockstar Sewing, look around. There's a lot of fun things. Plus, if you'd like to join my retreat, I have 150 fabulous vintage machine embroidery designs. I have 49 videos that I made myself, and you can see, and I've told stories, and I've shown my antique clothes. I had more fun, y'all. 49 videos. I thought that's a bit much. I don't care. It was my show. I could do whatever I wanted to. And then I have all kinds of patterns for purses and pillows and little girl dresses and little boy bubbles and ladies night. You just won't believe. Just go on and you could see it. But anyway, we also have some fun things just on the website that you don't have to pay to join anything. But anyway, Rockstar Sewing, that's me. I think when you're nearly 80, you can name yourself Rockstar Sewing, don't you? And by the way, you know what my mother said on every birthday? I won't tell all of you this. My mother said, every birthday, she said, her whole life, I finally reached the perfect age. So can those of you remember that? Just, I don't care how old you are. She always says, I finally reached the perfect age. And I say that on every birthday. And when I turned 79 last August 21st, I said, I finally reached the perfect age. And I'm so excited about turning 80 next year. Lord, I'll probably have a whole new sewing retreat up. Matter of fact, I'm sure I will. I got several ideas. I'm not through getting, but they're going to be online. However, I'm doing a little bit of traveling because Bernina, God bless them, Bernina underwrote the whole thing for me. When I called them and talked to them, they said, don't you call anybody else. You're back on the Bernina team. And I said, gives me great joy. Although there's so many, listen, there are many, many great sewing machines, and I've worked for most of them, and they're joyful, all of them. But when Bernina said, we want you back on the Bernina team, I said, Paul Ashworth, I said, Paul, nothing could please me anymore. And I've had the best time being back on the Bernina team. And yet I want to tell you right now, there are many fabulous sewing machines and embroidery machines. And I know that, and you know that, and Bernina knows that. It's just, I'm real happy to be back on the, there we go. I'm a Martha Pullen Martha fangirl. Oh, Barbara, thank you, darling. Well, I hope I'm a rock star because I just named myself Rockstar. I thought that might have been egotistical, but when you're nearly 80, you name yourself anything you want to, can't you? All right, let me show you some more. These are little panties. And they're a little bit dirty now. The white didn't hold up too well over 71 years, people. But she had little underwear. And I also know that she had a nightgown and a house coat. And I remember the nightgown and the house coat. Let me show you why. I have one little shoe here. Do you see this little shoe? Barbara, come back. This is a bedroom shoe. And it's a little white bedroom. She has a little elastic in the back. But I just have one. I've lost the other one. But where Mama found these shoes, I don't know. You couldn't go out to Hobby Lobby or Joann's and go to the doll shoe section. I don't know where Mama found these. There was no internet to look them up. Then she also had some of my clothes are gone. There we go. That's two pairs of little Mary Janes. The little gray shoes were Mary Janes, and the little black patent might have been the ones that came on the doll. But the little gray shoes she found with the little strap around the ankle and the little black, and that's the little bedroom shoe. And she did have a nightgown and a house coat. And these little, y'all, you just will not believe what she had. Oh, me. Now, let me show you something else. She also had a cowgirl suit. Barbara, I think I got a picture of these two. Do you see this? Cowgirl boots. And these little things on the back, they actually turn And she had made, so they turned, look at there. Is that cute or what? Oh, but she had a cowgirl suit. I think she even had a cowgirl hat. Now, y'all, I've lost a lot of these things. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Now, hello. I don't know how I lost them. They shouldn't have been lost, but I got this when I was 8 years old, and I played with it all the time. I just loved it. Now, here are the little Mary Jane shoes that you saw the picture. See, they had a little strap that went around the ankle, and that half of that little strap, and they snapped. See there? They went around the ankle and snapped, and the little black ones were just like that. They went around the ankle and snapped. Is that cute or what? Those boots are so cute. Eartha, I had no idea where my mother got those. Now, let me tell you, there was, I guess, the Sears and Roebuck catalog came in the mail. There weren't any, there was no internet, of course. And mother only went to Chattanooga to shop. So I don't know whether there was a Woolworths. They wouldn't have had those at the dime stores in Scottsboro. They didn't have it at fabric stores for sure, because doll clothes were not in fabric stores. Now then, everybody loves to sew for dolls. Now, I think that's all of the clothes I have left. But let me tell you what, these little clothes right here, if anybody else looked at them, they would say they're worth absolutely nothing. But let me tell you, they're worth $1 billion to me. I just could hold them just like this. This is Mama sewing for me, and the clothes are still here, and they'll be here because this will be passed on down to Joanna, and she will treasure them. So for maybe another 100 years, these clothes will be treasured as the clothes that Anna Ruth Campbell made for her daughter, Martha Campbell Pullen. And they're the most treasured present I ever had in my life. And I'm not kidding you. And Joe would tell you the same thing, because he knows how I feel about them. Even though, as I said, I've had some expensive presents. Joe bought me a new station wagon one year. But okay, here comes 12 back again. He's wants some attention. Go on, baby. Come here, baby. So you can say, no, he doesn't like me to hold him very much. Let's see if he'll show you. This is Mr. 12. That was the one that he was born in the Newark, New Jersey airport, and the taxi driver got him from the taxi stand. Anyway, Cecil brought him home. His story is an amazing story. Anyway, that was Mr. 12. He knows something's happening over here, and he is curious, and he wanted to see. So you met Mr. 12 today. I'm surprised Miss Kitty and Mushroom haven't come to see, too. They're probably out taking a nap somewhere. They're kind of fat, and they like to sleep. Okay, Barbara, what else did we talk about earlier, honey?
Oh, my goodness. So just reiterating that making gifts for others is the most special thing that you can do.
And quilts, y'all listen, quilts will be around for 200 years. And now listen, the one thing that now that I have an embroidery machine, that if I'm making doll clothes, please take your little embroidery machine or your big embroidery machine and stitch in the petticoat, made for Martha Campbell Pullen by mother, and put the date. Please stitch in the information, just like you make, quilt, what do you call them? Quilt blocks to go on the back of your quilt. Please sign your work. And you know something, one of the things I've done, tell people to do is when they're making the little smock dresses and the little French dresses and just little play clothes, before you turn up the hem on those dresses or the little boy suit, stitch in for whom it was made, by whom it was made, and the year it was made. And then on christening dresses, on the slip, you just put the whole family history on the slip in little blocks like this. Matter of fact, on my machine embroideries and my Rockstar sewing, 150. Oh, me. My friend said, Martha, why are you putting 150 machine embroidery designs in? I said, because I want to. If that's too many, no, it's not too many. If anybody knows me, it's not too many. And they're mostly antique. I went through antique books and got the antique, because they were not in any color. I had to decide the colors on them because they were all black and white. But I just love vintage things. I love antique pictures. I love to be made into embroidery designs. Anyway, please sign your work. You know what I think? I think everything you make is as important as a Rembrandt painting. Well, Martha, oh yeah, to me and to your family that loves sewing, and to your family. Here, my mother died in 2002. And I just treasure, I think about Christmas with Mama, and my daddy loved Christmas, and he loved the Christmas cards. He sent probably 100, 200 Christmas cards every year from his friends that he'd had way back in New York and New Jersey. I was born in New Jersey, and my dad lived in New York City for 25 years in New Jersey. So he kept up with all of his friends from everywhere, especially from his northern friends, because they moved south. And Christmas was so, oh, let me tell you one more thing, Barbara, you're going to love this. Mama didn't have a whole lot of money, but she wanted lots of Christmas presents under that tree. So if she got us new socks, and frequently she gets, back, some several pairs of nice socks. Each pair of socks was wrapped in a separate present. So it would be another gift under the tree. My mama did that. And if there were anything that kind of had two pieces to it, it was two presents, not one. And she just had probably 100 presents under that tree. And sometimes it was something that cost $2. Sometimes something cost $5. And sometimes it was like a new skirt and sweater set, but she didn't put the skirt and sweater in the same box. Oh, no. She made two beautiful presents out of a skirt and a sweater. And I'm telling you, my mother was just my mother was the original Christmas girl. And matter of fact, and my sister's little children always call me Aunt Santa Claus. So you can call me Aunt Santa Claus too, because I just love Santa Claus. And I love presents. I love Christmas. But the most important thing about Christmas is to know and love and study and worship our Lord Jesus, the whole thing. The gifts were brought by the wise men, and that's where the gift giving came from. They came and brought gifts to the newborn child. And I think most of you know that Jesus is the most important thing in my life. And can I tell you the best Christmas gift I've been given? My son Camp, a number of weeks ago, called and said, "Mom, I've got prostate cancer. Their tests have come back. They don't know how bad or anything yet." Well, my sister and I jumped on a plane and went out to Phoenix to be with him. And the first Christmas present was that they got, I thought, the numbers were so high. It could have been that we got out there and said he's got 6 weeks to live. I mean, that could have happened. The first results we got back was the first big gift, a precious gift from God, that it was not quite as bad as they thought it was going to be. But it was still prostate cancer. But it was not like he's got 6 weeks to live. And a number of weeks ago, they did much. He's at the Mayo Clinic in Phoenix. And a number of weeks ago, they did more massive tests. Of course, I think he's getting the best care in the world, of course. But again, that care didn't come from man. That care, God is working through physicians and teams at Mayo Clinic. And so he had pain in his back, bad pain. He hadn't been to the doctor in 15 years. And that pain in his back made him go to the doctor. The pain in his back was a cyst on his back. And he now says, "Mom, God gave me that cyst on my back so I would find the cancer. What if we hadn't found the prostate cancer?" And so they said, first, we're going to take the cyst in your back off, not cancer at all. So they've taken that off, got rid of all the pain in his legs. And then I think in about 3 weeks, they'll go back in to do the prostate surgery. And he says, Mom, this is God working overtime to get me into the doctor. And I said, Camp, what do you think God does? Our precious Lord and Savior Jesus Christ takes care of us. And to celebrate Jesus and to read I love the Christmas story out of Luke. We always read that every Christmas. We always go to Christmas Eve service. And Christmas is not about presents. Don't misunderstand me. Christmas is about the gift of our Lord Jesus Christ and about celebrating him. And y'all, I think you have to know I'm totally in love with Jesus Christ. Nothing. And I tell my grandchildren all the time, you know how much I love you. Yes, they do. I said, well, guess what? I love Jesus more than I love you. They say, we know it, Nanny. We know it. And I said, and I want you always remember to love Jesus more than anybody on this earth because he is number one. Nanny, we know. I'm always telling my grandchildren about Jesus because that is the most important thing in my life, I can assure you. And I like to believe it is in most of theirs too, as much as I can indoctrinate them because I want them to know about the love of Jesus. Anyway, I want all of you to know about that love too. And I so wish I could be there to celebrate the birth of Jesus with each one of you. But your sewing machine, I think sewing's from God. I really do. Think about it. God was the first seamstress. God made those clothes for Adam. Think about it. So God was the first seamster, I guess you'd call him. Anyway, and sewing is so scriptural. Look at the Proverbs 31. In his presence, not presence. Yes, Ann, that's exactly right. In God's presence. Thank you, Ann. I know y'all love the Lord like I do. And let's don't forget who is the reason for the season. A beautiful testimony. Well, Cindy, everywhere I go, if you hang out with me, you're going to hear about Jesus. If you don't like Jesus, don't hang out with me. And if you don't like him, I'll try to tell you how. I'll try to tell him how we do like him. Anyway, Barbara, I know y'all are in love with Jesus. You're going to celebrate. And your mom said his presence. And just remember your sewing machine. And by the way, I do give all of you permission to get yourself a fine sewing machine. What, Martha? Let me tell you something. We deserve, and I know we don't deserve anything, but you need to, especially those of you that are not quite as young as you used to be. We don't go to Europe anymore. My arthritis in my back is too bad for me to stomp all over Europe. I do have fine sewing machines, and I do. They're worth the money, and it'll give you a present every day. If you have a wonderful Bernina or another wonderful brand, that'll be a present every single day. All right, Ann Philbeck, thank you, darling. And I do thank AllBrands. Barbara, you and your mother and father have done so much for sewing, and y'all are in love with the ladies who sew too. And you've done so much to make sewing what it is today, and you've done so much to make Martha Pullen what she is today, and helping me.
You've done so much. You've done so much for us. Now it's time for us to give back to you. So people have been chiming in the comments about some of their wonderful Christmas stories.
Oh, tell me.
I want to read those to you. But guys, don't forget, at the end of this broadcast, we're going to do the $50 giveaway for the e-gift card. So be sure to comment.
Thank you. Nice present.
AllBrands there.
Tell me what they've been saying.
Okay, so let's go sew with Joanne Banco. So I got to put my glasses on. My funniest maker story: made a tie with camel's hair interfacing for my brother-in-law. It was open and under the tree. While we ate dinner, the cat totally tore it up. Must have been attracted to the hair.
Oh, how funny. Oh, Lord, what a funny story. Have you got another one?
Okay, so Joanne says that she used to wrap with comic book paper. LOL.
Well,
I think that's a great idea.
That's what I did too. During those years, I had no money. Anybody else? Okay.
I hurried home to see Martha. I love her and participated in so much of her events, including the School of Fashion.
Oh, Lindy, it's just so wonderful to hear from you. Y'all, I love you so much. Have you got any more?
Mary says, I went on a sewing cruise with Martha. It was the best cruise I've ever been on.
Mary Ann, that was a long time ago. We went to Puerto Rico and went, oh, honey, hello again. And maybe we ought to do that again. I'm not sure.
Here's one from Deborah. Back in the 1950s, my husband's family was poor. They lived in Oklahoma. His mother took a tumbleweed, dipped it in a paste made from flour and water, and used it for their Christmas tree.
Oh, how wonderful. A tumbleweed and dipped it in flour. Well, I'm glad the cat didn't eat that.
Oh, you're going to make me cry. Okay. I love you guys. Sweet. Okay, that one was beautiful. Okay. Miss Maureen says, when I was little, my favorite time at Christmas was helping my mom sew matching flannel nightgowns and robes for me and my sisters every year.
I hope you have some of those. I know, Barbara. Yeah, especially with you just losing your mother this year.
Oh my God. Well, I gotta say though, the things that she made for me are so precious to me now.
Listen, I kept all the clothes my mother made for me when I went to college. She made these gorgeous clothes for me. I still have all those clothes. Of course, I couldn't put my big toe in them. But guess what? My granddaughter Cecil, they fit my granddaughter Cecil. I cannot believe I was ever that skinny, but I was. But I kept all of the things that mother made, we kept. The things that we store-bought, we didn't keep. Barbara, are there any more?
Oh, yes, there's tons. Juanita Floyd says that her mom taught her how to sew on Barbie clothes. Me too.
Oh, Barbie clothes. Now, honey, Barbie was after I came along. Remember, I'm 80.
Well, I always wanted to have brown hair my whole life. I was always envious of the beautiful dark-haired women around me. And so when the American dolls came out, I wanted Samantha because she had dark hair, and I've always wanted dark hair. So my mom didn't let me get Samantha. She bought me Kirsten, but she did make me every single one of Samantha's outfits for my Kirsten doll.
They used to have patterns. American Girl used to put out patterns, but they were smart. They figured nobody would buy those $30 and $40 dresses, so they quit putting out patterns. But listen, we can still get fabulous. And by the way, one of the greatest pattern for American Girl dolls, Connie Palmer designed a doll club. That's by Classic Sewing Magazine. So All right. Cindy, what did Cindy say?
One of my favorite Christmas gifts came on Christmas Eve. Our 6th child was born on
Oh,
December
oh,
24th.
be still my heart. I have 5 children, Cindy, 18 grandchildren, and 2 great grandchildren.
Here's one
Okay.
from Lindy. My best Christmas present in elementary school over 50 years ago was a Singer Golden Touch and
Oh,
sewing
oh,
machine.
oh.
That was my beginning to my love of sewing.
Absolutely. All say Singer Touch and Sew, and we just loved them more than anything. And boy, my little Singer Touch and Sew got me through some of the hardest times in my life, because when I was a divorced mother and when I was married and had no money, I made every stitch I wore and every stitch my little boys wore, except their winter coats and their shoes. And I'm telling you, I made every stitch I wore because I had no money. Okay.
Miss Maureen says, I wanted a Toni doll so bad, but I got a Penny Bright and I loved it just as much. I made tons of Barbie clothes.
I love it. I love it. You got another one?
Let's see. Barbara Jones says that her grandmother made her incredible Barbie clothes, scraps from the garment district.
Oh, and she still has them. Yay, Barbara, yay.
That's so special. Okay, Brenda. Hey, Brenda. Good to see you. I have my Madame Alexander doll from about 1957. Her case has not held up quite as well as Toni's has, but I still remember getting her for Christmas at this time. What an extravagant gift.
Madame Alexanders still are a little bit extravagant, and my family, we couldn't afford one, but we knew where they were. And then after I married Joe and was able to buy, I started buying Madame Alexander dolls for Joanna the minute she was born, because I knew I could now afford Madame Alexanders.
Here's one from Trisha. My aunt is who inspired me to sew. She made my wedding dress.
Oh, she was like, Mama, did your mother make your wedding dress?
No.
No. Let me tell you,
she made your bridesmaids dresses, though.
She made the bride. Well, your aunt is a master seamstress. I've never made a wedding dress, and those are hard to make. So I congratulate your dear aunt, and I hope you still have that beautiful handmade wedding dress she made you. That was so special.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if we have any more. Let's do one more from Trisha. My grandparents took cartoon paper from the newspaper too. And when we got older, they would use really strong red tape. LOL.
They couldn't get it the present. Oh God, they were slick, weren't they?
Oh gosh, I love it.
So many presents to wrap. I just if I go to Dollar Tree and they get my dollar bags, and I've got wrapping paper too, but let me tell you, those bags are pretty hefty, especially when I've got to ship. I had to ship a box of presents out to Korea because Sarah Joy and her husband Ty and Henry, they're in the military at Camp Humphreys, and he's one of the commanders in Camp Humphreys in Korea. So I had to get their gifts off, and right now, as we speak, my den is filled up with boxes. I'm trying to get my son in Arizona. I'm trying to get their things wrapped and shipped. And then after that, I'm home free. I can take my time wrapping the rest off.
Exactly.
Well, Barbara, this has been so much fun.
Hey, do you want to give something away?
What, darling? Oh, yeah. Let's give
something. Drawing. All right. Drum roll, please. Can everybody see it?
Drum roll.
Yes,
Here we go.
All right. And our winner is, let's see, Deborah. Congratulations, Deborah. Please.
Deborah Penner. Deborah, God bless you. It looks like they're having all kinds of celebrations, shooting that blue stuff out, because you're the winner of a $50 gift. That's a big deal. Yay. That's a big deal. Buy something for you or buy a present, either one you want to. Yeah. Oh, Barbara, we've got to do this again. Congratulations, Deborah. Now, Barbara, we got to do this again. Let's do it in January. We'll do it. We'll figure, we won't talk about the Christmas gifts. Well, we might talk about, remember, people, Jesus is the reason for the season. I love you, but Jesus loves you more. And please remember that. There's not one of you that is alone ever, because God loves you. God is with you every minute. And don't you ever think for 1 minute that you're alone, because you are not. Yeah. Anyway, I love you too. Barbara loves you. And the sewing business, the most wonderful people in the world are in the sewing business. I think all of you probably know that. It's just the greatest joy in my life that I have had the privilege of being in this. And I'm still in the business. Go to rockstarsewing.com and see
Yeah.
what Martha's up to.
Inspire.
Okay,
And
well,
just
God bless
remember
you,
that, yes,
Barbara.
you too. It's not
Give
about stuff.
all of your family my love,
Yeah.
and all of you. We love you so much, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for making it possible for me to be in the sewing industry 40 years and for Barbara to be in the sewing industry. Because without you, there would be no AllBrands, there would be no Martha Pullen Company, there would be no Rockstar Sewing. My new business is called Rockstar Sewing. Without you, there wouldn't be any of our business, and we thank you. And I love you so much. God bless you. God bless. Oh, we love
And
you
without
too.
this lady, none of us would be here today.
That
So
right, and because she started AllBrands, and it's, I don't want a present, I want your presence, and that's exactly. She was the kindest, smartest, Barbara, very, very smart. Well, she started AllBrands. She had a degree in home ec, and I love her. I'm so glad I got to know her, Barbara. She's having Christmas with Jesus this year, so she's having the best Christmas of all, isn't she?
yes.
That's hard to remember though when you're missing them for the first Christmas, especially. That's okay. She's all right. And she's completely all right. She's pain free now, isn't she? My husband Joe is pain free too, and mother and daddy. So, but we have those memories, and those sewing memories are so good. Oh my goodness. Well, I love you. I better quit talking, Barbara. I mean, you have to shut me up. Just you know, in the vaudeville days, they used to put a hook out there, and when somebody stayed on the stage too long, they just pulled them off. So I guess you better just pull me.
Well, you're getting
We'll
a
do it.
lot of love.
Let's do this again soon. This is fun.
Yes, yes. All right, everyone. We love you so
Merry
much.
Christmas. Betty Ludwig, my dear friend, says Merry Christmas to y'all. Merry Christmas to you too, darling.
Bye.
Betty today, as a matter of fact. Bye. God bless you.